Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another great edition of The Hit. I am your man, Logan Graffia. He is my fantastic co host, Calvin Rons, and we are going to get right into it today. We're going to start off with some college football, everything. Everybody loves some college football, Calvin, but I'm going to let you take the mic from here to start us off with some college football. What you got for us, bud?
All right, y'all. So we're gonna talk a little top 25 real quick. So just to recap, Clemson beats Wake Forest in a double overtime game, I believe. As y'all know, Latte just played Clemson, and if y'all remember last week, I also said Clemson when they start playing teams that are ranked will start getting exposed. And I think playing a 21 ranked overall Wake Forest and they give them that much trouble, that's pretty telling. Tennessee beats Florida. That's the first time in a long time. I think only the second time in like the last 17 games that they've beat Florida. Um, it wasn't an easy game. Anthony Richardson from Florida started to come around and acted like a quarterback finally. So that's pretty interesting. Hendon Hooker, I think people are sleeping on him a little bit. I think he would be a nice quarterback prospect in the league. I see a little bit of Teddy Bridgewater in him. I mean, I think that's the best comparison I got for him, but I think he's a little bit better. He's going to be fun to watch. Texas Tech upsets Texas. I don't really know if that's too much of an upset, but Texas, horns down, shout out. Um, Texas A&M upsets Arkansas. That's pretty big one right there because Arkansas was ranked 10. Everybody ranked 10, and Texas A&M they're going to sit here and talk about that they're back. Can't believe Arkansas lost that. I had them winning that game. Um, but it is college football. Anybody can get beat on any given Saturday. I'm not going to talk about the La Tech game. We lost, quite unfortunately. Uh, LSU beats New Mexico. I have one of my guys plays for New Mexico. Shout out to Justin Harris. Played. He was the DN that graduated the year before me in high school. But really, what I want to get into, just to sum it up, Georgia and all of them win. Alabama, I mean, we all know how that's going to go. Ohio State wins too, so 1, 2, and 3 is basically still set. Um, University of New Orleans, big news
Yes.
coming out of there. We
Yes.
have we have four potential programs going to be added with a student vote: football, women's soccer, women's golf, and marching band. Now, what they're looking for is a $400 full-time student fee and a $300 part-time student fee. Estimated $4 to $5 million to add all these programs, and they're looking to add a 20,000 seat stadium. And for those who don't know, the University of New Orleans, I mean, I have been asking for them to get a football team for the longest. They're the
Hmm.
only program out of 12 Louisiana D1 schools that not have a football team. And just for those who are arguing against it, I mean, enrollment rates since 2008 for teams, for colleges that have added a football team have gone up. Their enrollment rates have gone up 39%. So I think this would be good for the University of New Orleans. And Logan, I just want to get your opinion on what do you think the impact as a whole in New Orleans, the university itself, how would that go for adding a football team to UNO?
Well, first off, I want to say so at the TV station that I work at, New Orleans athletic director Tim Duncan, I know his name's Tim Duncan, crazy, but actually came in and on the show he was discussing with the show host about football was going to happen. He was that confident saying football was going to happen. And when I started telling him, I'm like, look, I remember playing NCAA 13 on Team Builder and making UNO as a football team. And I mean, I made the uniforms, the helmets, all the colors, the logos, everything was just fantastic. Because I mean, I always wondered what would it be like if UNO had an actual football team. They had a club football team that was pretty darn good. They played at Tag Gormley and everything. And one of my former Cardinals teammates actually was the quarterback on one of those teams that won. So that's a small world. But as far as the impact goes, we've seen schools like UAB, for instance. They once went away for a long time not having football, and then they come back, and the money is just pouring in because you see how good UAB is now. And then another school that I think is a good example is actually Southeastern because they're in the same conference, Southland. Southeastern's football program was gone for like I think 2 decades up until about 2003. They ended the original program in like the late 80s, early 90s, and came back in 2003. And now Southeastern football is just tremendous. It brings in money to the school. And when you think about the impact that football at UNO would bring to the school, I think for those who can't go to the big name colleges and don't even really want to go to community college route, especially in the city of New Orleans, that I think you would be able to get some really talented players at UNO because you could look at the basketball team as an example too that they have some talented players. They just don't get the recognition. Same goes for their baseball team. The UNO baseball team is very, very known and was just in the tournament last year in baseball. So I think it's going to be if they can get this going because Tim Duncan says all they need is 51%, and he even told me he is very confident that they are going to get that. Then he says we have football, and I think in a few years, Calvin, we're going to be seeing UNO football, and I am actually excited because I would love to go to New Orleans to watch Southeastern play UNO, or even UNO come into Hammond to play Southeastern. That would be actually tremendous because we've seen them play each other in basketball. I think it would be just a great impact, not only on the school, but maybe even on the city because there's only one school in New Orleans that really gets like the recognition, and that's Tulane. If you think about it, nothing else, nobody else really gets the. There is no other school in New Orleans that has college football outside of Tulane, at least to my knowledge. So if UNO can get this done, and I think they will, I am confident in that too. I think you're going to see UNO go from like this level and then just like rise, kind of like how Southeastern did when they brought their program back, and even UAB.
Now, I agree with that because a little fun fact. One of the top schools I was looking at going to was UNO, but the only reason why I didn't go was because of football. If they had football in 2018, I may have been at UNO. And I mean, just looking at some of the renderings for what the potential stadium will like, I mean, that's going to be. I mean, UNO is a nice looking campus. I mean, it's right on the lake. The stadium like is going to be right on the lake. I mean, that's very pretty. If you ask me, I mean, I would like to play in a stadium that's right next to a lake. Doesn't matter if it's Lake Pontchartrain, Lake Erie. Doesn't matter. That's something to look at. And there's going to be some YouTube videos. Top stadiums in the nation. And you might see UNOs on there because it's going to be a nice stadium. Um, just looking at those renderings, but I mean, that's going to be another outlet for young cats coming out of high school in New Orleans, the underpowered and all that. That's just another school that can give you 75 scholarships. That's potentially 75 guys that you could get off the streets in New Orleans, and
Hmm.
I mean, big picture, what I would like to see happen is even it's a small thing and it's a little small thing to wish for, but maybe you might see crime go down. I mean, there's going to
You
be added
never know.
security. You never know. There's going to be added security when you got a team there, and like I said, you get more guys. They're going to be recruiting a lot more recruiting in New Orleans now because you're going to have recruiting battles now between Tulane and So I mean, that's more people in New Orleans. I mean, there's a lot of talent out in New Orleans, and a lot of times you see all the time these New Orleans kids they don't have the means to go to college, and right here in their own backyard they can go play football. So I think that's a extreme positive. Hoping everything goes out, but just for some little own personal experience with student fees. Out here at Tech, we had a student fee vote because we're the only school in the Conference USA to not have a student fee or students have to pay to get in the games. The students voted no. Majority of them voted no because they didn't want to pay that extra, $200 on their tuition, and they're asking for 400. So I mean, I don't know how well that's going to go over with the students, but just from my personal experience, it usually doesn't go over well if you're not an established like national championship winning team like LSU. LSU students don't mind paying that money. I mean, they know what they're getting into. They're going to have a good team. So I mean, that's just what I want to run down there. We get into talking about our wonderful yet disappointing Saints.
Let's get into it.
I'll let you lead off on that.
Well, Calvin, there is no other way of saying it to describe the game. There's only one. There's actually one word that can describe the game, and the one word is ugly. Now, want to just say this. I want to start off by saying I caught a lot of flack on the last podcast for calling some people out. My apologies. Wasn't my intention for people to get offended, of course, but
Hey, we got 100 views though, so if you
we
want to do it
did.
again, be
I,
my guest.
yeah, but I want to just say this, and I know I'm going to probably catch flack for it again. Jameis should not be out there playing. He should not. And I don't know if anyone else agrees with that, and they're going to say, "Oh, a hurt Jameis Winston is better than Andy Dalton." That is not true. A healthy Andy Dalton can win you football games. A hurt Jameis Winston cannot, as you can see. And I have some. Let me just say this. I actually added up the scores that the Saints have scored, all the total points. We are averaging 17 points per game, Calvin, and we've only scored over 17 once this year, and that was in the Atlanta comeback game. I don't really want to count that game because it's Atlanta. They blow leads all the time. They're notoriously known for it. So if you think about it, Calvin, this team should be 0-3 right now, and that is not great to say. And I know if was a fifth, we would all be drunk, but if we would have lost that game, like I said, we would be 0-3. And we have a very difficult task going to London across the pond to play the Minnesota Vikings, which their offense is, at least to from my perspective, that their offense is really, really good. Kirk Cousins looks good. Dalvin Cook looks good. Their offensive line looks really darn good. Justin Jefferson's going to be coming off of an injury, but you know how that goes. They always come back against us. The Vikings defense is kind of, I give them about a B, a C. They're not bad, but they still got Patrick Peterson back there and Harrison Smith. You got all them guys, but want to just say that it's time to protect the player finally from himself, and it's time to sit Jameis because he should not be out there. And the one reason I caught flack for it the other day is, but Logan, he threw for 350 yards. Okay, what was the end result? We lost. We lost to Baker Mayfield and the Carolina Panthers. And I know people are going to say, "But Logan, you're a big fan of Baker Mayfield." Not anymore. He plays for a division rival. Not a fan. Baker Mayfield didn't do that well either. I'm going to just say that he looked awful yesterday too. But what I will say is it's time to put Andy Dalton in and just see. And Dennis Allen's not going to do that. And for the stuff, the mistakes and the turnovers, this is, I would say it's got 60% coaching is at fault, and I'm going to put 40% kind of on Jameis because Jameis was put on this pedestal. He was put on this high pedestal where people like Bart Scott was saying, "Oh, Jameis is going to be MVP." They had people out there on Twitter coming at me saying, "Okay, Jameis is going to be MVP. He's going to throw 6,000 yards, 40 touchdowns, and probably like 10 interceptions." Right now, Calvin, that does not look likely at all. His touchdown to INT ratio is 4-5. That's looking more like the 2019 Jameis, without the 5,000 yards, of course. He is not healthy, Calvin. He is probably at best 40% healthy. 40. And I know people are going to say, but Logan, Drew Brees played with all those injuries back then. You didn't say nothing then. Here is why. And I'm sure Calvin can agree. A 70% to 80% healthy Drew Brees is probably better than most of the starting quarterbacks in the NFL right now.
70% Drew Brees is still top five in
Exactly.
the whole league, and
Exactly.
that's not even going into his blitz pickup and setting protections and all that. I mean, just his pure knowledge alone, he could be 40% health, and he's going to get you some points. Um, and I mean, it really does suck. So I really want this for Jameis. I really want him to succeed. I wouldn't consider myself to be a Jameis stan. More, I would consider myself to be more of a quarterback of the New Orleans Saints stan. Whoever is QB1, I'm gonna ride or die for him, and I'm gonna do everything I can to defend him. Whoever it is, Garrett Grace could be back there. I'm gonna try to defend him as best as I can. We don't want that,
We don't
but
want
that's
that.
just to say that's the links I'll go to for my guys. It is a little hard right now to defend Jameis because we're not seeing what we're supposed to. And I'm going to keep on putting it under the injury tab because we've seen it with Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert did not really play that well against a Jaguars team, a team that they should have beaten. Um, I think he's just about dealing with injury. I'm not gonna say as painful as Jameis, but I'll probably put him at about 40% health too. I mean, he's hurting out there and he's grimacing every time and wincing every time he gets hit, just like Jameis. And as bad as it is to say, sometimes I was looking at James get hit and I would just look at him and be like, just stay down, man. Just stay down for your own good, for your own safety. I don't want him to be taken out just to see Andy. I want him to get taken out so I don't see this man continue to hurt himself. Because at what point
Right.
are we going to sit here and say, oh, dang, James is out for the season because one of those fractures just got even worse? I mean, at what point are we going to take him out? I don't want to get to that point of, oh, coulda, shoulda, woulda. You know, I think just the bad play right now is just he's hurting. He's hurting so much that it's hurting the team right now. Um, but I mean, and it's bad because this offense is worse than last year. And we have Trevor Simeon at QB, and we have Michael Thomas back. We have Jarvis Landry, Chris Olave, who, by the way, is looking absolutely amazing. At this rate, he
Hmm.
might win. He might win Offensive Rookie of the Year if he just keeps this up. If he scores a little more, I can see it. He just needs to keep on trending upwards. That's why I gotta say about that. But he, I mean, Alvin Kamara is basically neutralized at this point. I don't understand why we're not utilizing him more, and this is why I'm going to put a little more than 60% on the coaching. This is my explanation for it. I'm going to put probably about 70 to 75% on the coaching because the team's undisciplined. That's all coaching. The team's undisciplined.
Hmm.
We have Will Lutz missing kicks, and maybe that's the procedure. We're getting kicks blocked. I mean, when was the last time we got a kick blocked? I mean,
It's been a while, I think.
been a
I
while.
mean,
It's been like 2016 with that Will Parks touchdown with the Broncos. I mean, that was a long time ago.
it's been a long time, Calvin. It's been a long time, and right now, I mean, I know people gave me some flack, and you kind of did too, but I don't know if you see it yet. But this looks like one of the Saints teams of old from back in the Hazlitt era, where everything on paper looks fantastic, but when the product goes out on the field, it's not good, Calvin. From, I mean, if you looked at it, there was three spots on this team that worried me the most, and right now they are they.
All of them are flailing right now. They're
Am,
drowning right
Number
now.
one was offensive line. Number two was quarterback. Number three was defensive tackle, and all three are struggling. The
And here's the
only
thing: I'm not even gonna be mad at defensive tackle. I think the biggest problem on defense is defensive is what in the hell is Cam Jordan doing? Where is Cam Jordan? He has
they
no
are,
sacks.
he's
It's
just
game. It's
absent.
about to be game 4 with no sacks from your All Pro, supposedly best defensive end in history. Like, get him going. He's getting. They're throwing randos out there, and they're locking him up.
This team only has two sacks to their name, Calvin. The defense has only had two sacks this whole year. Two, which
Ty
is
Tuttle and
crazy.
Marcus Davenport.
Which is crazy to believe because last year they was getting after him. They were getting after him, Calvin. This team doesn't. I don't even know if we're gonna make 9-8 because 9-8 was my prediction for this year. If they get 9-8, that might be an overachievement. I know for a fact. I don't see the playoffs. If right now, let me just say this: what is Pete Carmichael doing? Pete Carmichael doesn't look like the guy that was under Sean Payton since 2006 and watching from afar. What I see is basically just someone that doesn't know what he's doing. It just looks like he's missing Sean, most definitely. And and if something doesn't change, Calvin, and this team might drop at least because I'm looking at the schedule. The only other team that looks winnable in the upcoming schedule, there's three teams coming up: Vikings, Seattle, and Cincinnati. There's only one team I just mentioned that is probably a winnable game, and that's Seattle. Minnesota has a high-powered offense right now. Cincinnati, that's Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and everything you can imagine. Calvin coming to the dome. Right now, I'm not confident that out of those three, we have a chance to beat only one of them. But Geno Smith doesn't look that bad this year. That's crazy to believe that Geno Smith looks better than Jameis this year. What is wrong with this pitcher, Calvin? I get here's another thing about the Jameis injury. I want to tell people. Dak Prescott's rookie year, he was a backup to Tony Romo. Tony Romo got, if I'm not mistaken, the same injury or a very, very, very similar type of injury to his back. Guess how many games he played that year, Calvin? One. And that was the game where it was the last game of the season. They already clinched the playoff spot and just threw Tony Romo in there just to say, you know what? This guy's played for us for a long time. Let's put him out there just because we love him. Jameis should not be out there, Calvin. He's even got he's got an ankle injury on top of it. He's walking around like he's Fred Sanford, but worse. That's all on Dennis Allen. You have to protect the player from himself. I know people are going to sit here and say I don't want to see Jameis out there because I hate him. That is not the case right now. I don't want him out there because I don't want to see him hurt any more than he is. Regardless of what you may think of me, I don't want to see him hurt. I do not. Me and Calvin have discussed this privately through text messages. Jameis should not be out there. He is too damn hurt. Get him out there. Protect him from himself. Please. He's he's got four fractures in his back. I think he's got an ankle sprain that kept him out 2 weeks from training camp. I mean, what more does Dennis Allen? Dennis Allen came out and said we are not change. We are not going to make a switch at quarterback. You know who also said that, Calvin? Back in the day, Jim Haslett. And what happened back in the day, Calvin, from 2001 to '05? Did the Saints see the playoffs at all? No,
No.
they didn't. They did not. And I'm not going to put it all on Aaron back in the day. There were some times there whether the team was just not built correctly at all. I put that, I'd say it's like maybe 80-20 Jim to Aaron back then. But right now, I'm going to say it's got to be at least 80. No, I'm going to say 60-40 right now. Dennis Allen has, in my opinion, he has till the end of the season to do something. I don't give a damn if we go 6-10 at this point. I just want you to protect players from themselves. I've played hurt before. You've probably played hurt before, Calvin, but there's actually a time where you probably got to tell yourself, look, I'm too damn hurt. I can't go out there. I want to help my team, but I'm hurting them more than helping them. And right now, Jameis is hurting us more than helping. Okay, he threw 350 yards. He threw a touchdown in garbage time yesterday. I know there was over like 2 minutes left, but what was? Come on, man. When we are down, come on.
You know,
Something needs to
it's the
change.
same thing that I'm seeing. So this is why like I put it all most of it on coaching and not really James because I mean a man can watch so much film and I mean I put the blitz thing on James because I mean you're throwing the ball. He threw the ball directly into JC Horn who's jumping at him in front of his face. I mean, the hell are you doing? You don't see this man jumping in your
Double
face?
coverage.
I mean, you don't see that. I mean, there's 8 people lined up on the line, and you're sitting here thinking 4 people are rushing. No, I mean, and it's getting real disrespectful because if I was offensive coordinator, I would be hurt. I would feel really disrespected because defenses, if you notice these last 3 games, all they're doing, they figured it out. They're just blitzing. They're blitzing 7, they're blitzing 6, they're blitzing 5, and it's hitting home 75% of the time because they know Jameis ain't gonna check out of the play. Or there's going to be some dumb play call like a wide receiver screen or wide receiver bubble on third and long that Pete Carmichael has drawn up. Because what I've noticed from Pete Carmichael, if you go back and watch the game, I guarantee you at least 85% of second downs we have ran the ball. So it's been first down. We probably throw it, maybe run it, get 2 yards, 3 yards. Cool, second and seven, second and eight. Now we're running the ball. We get 1 yard, 2 yards. Now it's third and seven, third and eight, third and six. And we all know what's happening now. We're getting blitzed. And we're not picking up the blitz. The offensive line is terrible, and James ain't picking up any blitz pickup. And Pete Carmichael isn't drawing up any type of play design that's helping, like maybe a boot, play action, anything. Nothing is being drawn up to even try to help this blitz that's coming to this offensive line.
Let me tell you how predictable we are, Calvin, because there was even one of my good friends that I love to death, and I'm sure he's gonna watch this. Shout out my boy Trey from Southeastern, one of my brothers, bro. But he was at the game and he started saying the offense was getting predictable, where he was even calling it in the stands. He was at the game and he even said that it was getting kind of predictable. Here's something that Ross Jackson said. Shout out Ross Jackson, everybody. I love what Ross does. Great guy. Ross tweeted this out a few hours ago. 6 times in the Carolina game, in this game, have the Saints thrown an incomplete pass on first down and run on second and 10. It's predictable. To be honest with you, Calvin, at least under Sean, he might have came off as predictable, but
I mean,
he
Sean's
switched
play
it.
calling towards the
He
last
switched it
like year
up.
or two was suspect at best.
It was,
But
but we
this is a whole new low because I mean I'm not like this offense to me now is objectively and subjectively better than what it was last year on paper, and we're terrible. We're worse. I don't understand how a wide receiver core of Traquan, Marquez Callaway, and Deontay Hardy and Kevin White and Kenny Stills is better than Michael Thomas, Chris Olave, and Jarvis Landry. I don't understand it. And then you got Traquan. He had a good game, but he did his old famous, his infamous catch a ball, get hurt. Catch a big ball, get hurt. He does it
that's
every
how
time.
it
Every time
goes.
he has a good game,
Every time.
if he's getting close to 100 yards, he's going to catch a ball and then just die every time. Uh, I mean, Dennis Allen, he like you said, he already said he's not making a quarterback change. I mean, I don't think Dennis Allen's gonna be satisfied until James goes there and just dies, because that
It's the
seems like what he wants to do. And I'm a guy of drastic measures, right? If I was a head coach, I'd be an extreme head coach. I'm benching people. I don't care who you are. I don't care your name. And even if I'm a GM, I'm okay with firing people mid-season. I don't care. I mean, I need results. And if you can't give me results, and I understand growing pains and all that, but I don't really believe in the growing pains right now for this team, because we virtually have the same team as we've had for the past 5 years. I mean, it's the same core, it's the same players, and Dennis Allen has been here for 5+ years. So I don't want to hear growing pains because it's really the same. And I mean, it's baffling to me how we can't get anything on offense. And I'm on the train right now. I think if we don't see more than 20 points next game from Pete, I'm saying fire him, win, lose, or draw. I think he has to go
I'm a,
immediately. I think it starts with him.
I'm gonna be honest. I think the only way I, I think it's time. Sometimes I just can't put into words how frustrated I am with this team because I love them so much. That's why I'm so frustrated. So I think if we want to see a change in the offense, or maybe go back to like a Drew Brees esque offense to get Alvin Kamara involved more, I think it's time to put Andy Dalton in, Calvin. Because if you think about it, what was Drew got Alvin involved every time. And I know Drew's retired, y'all. I know that. And I know we got to stop comparing the Drew Brees era to this era now, but this is all we have to compare it to. I know we were spoiled. We were.
Yeah, I
We
mean
were.
it's hard. We're so spoiled by having a top three quarterback of all time on our team for
And a Hall of Fame coach
15
at that.
years and a Hall of Fame coach. We're so spoiled. And I saw this tweet the other day. I think it's from a Titans fan. I saw it on Ryan's tweet. He said, "Nah, y'all are just turning into what every other team has to go through. Y'all are now becoming one of us." Because you think about it, we were the exception to the rule because we did have Drew Brees. I mean, and now we don't, and
We've
everything
seen
just started
turnover
going
like this
downhill.
before. We've seen turnover like this before. I
We've
mean,
seen
if you look
turnover, but we've
in
never seen
history,
turnover from being a successful franchise.
right? The only time I've seen DCs don't normally work out as head coaches, and there's only a select few in NFL history that have worked out. That I mean, that's George Seifert and Bill Belichick, and I know I'm forgetting a few of them, but I mean, the 49ers back in the day, I mean, they went from Bill Walsh to George Seifert, and they still won, like, I think, two more Super Bowls, if I'm not mistaken. And then, I mean, Bill Belichick won them Super Bowls with the Giants under Bill Parcells. Then he goes to the Patriots, wins, what, like seven? So DCs don't normally work out in the NFL as head coaches. And there's, like I said, there's only a select few, and I know I'm forgetting the name, those select few that I know of, but right now, as it stands, Dennis Allen, after that win in Atlanta, is now 9-30 as a head coach. Calvin, I'm not saying he has to, win 30 games in a row, but make the right coaching decisions and change it up because what you're doing right now isn't the right thing. And I know people are going to probably come at me for just saying everything I'm saying right now in this podcast. I'm sure I'm going to catch flack for something like little nuances. I'm sure someone's going to pick and choose what they hear during this podcast and say something and come at me. But hey, leave it for the YouTube comments, please. But anyway,
And look,
enough
before
about the.
anybody sits there and says, "Oh," because I know like what you're gonna say, oh Eric B, look, Eric B just got in a fight with his starting quarterback, and LaShawn McCoy or whoever player it was came out and said that man is problematic, and that man don't know anything about passing or play calling. So,
That sounds like
like I
someone that's
said,
disgruntled.
it does sound like someone who's just grown up, but I mean, hey, when there's smoke, there's fire, and like I said, like I've tweeted before, Eric B seemed cool, but there was some odd to him, something odd about him to me because you have 20 plus head coaching jobs and you don't get one of them. There's got to be something wrong. But I digress. And just for a little quick tidbit, two quick tidbits. Number one, as far as anybody trying to replace the quarterback right now, James, I'm gonna tell you right now that this slim pickings. We don't have a first round pick. CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, they're not gonna be there. Will Rogers probably ain't gonna be there either. So that's throw that out the window. Unless you want to take a flyer on a lower end guy. Maybe Hendon Hooker goes second, third round. Maybe I'll try him. Who knows? Jimmy G is terrible. Like I've said, I'm laughing at you, Logan. I told you it's terrible. He put a Dan Orlovsky. Can't
I,
believe he did that. The man
I can't
sucks.
believe he did that
Logan,
either.
I'm going to laugh at you forever for that one. I'm going to send it to you every
I mean,
episode.
there is a guy that I really like that's out there, and I know people are going to call me crazy, but Tyler Huntley is out there. He's like a great value Lamar Jackson. That man can ball.
But
He really can.
why get a great value Lamar Jackson when we
You
can
can
just
go
go
get
get Lamar
Lamar
Jackson?
Jackson.
The
You
man ain't
can't
paid yet. Hey, I'm tampering right now. I'm calling Lamar. Hey man, I will give you $800 million for 20 years you show up
give
here.
you an
And
ownership stake. Just come on down, bro.
ownership stake, just like Tom with Miami, bro. Like, and look, Baker Mayfield, he ain't an option either. The man sucks. You've seen it. He Baker Mayfield didn't win him that game, but he didn't lose it either. So hey,
Yep.
more power to the
But
man.
hey, shoot.
And this is the second tidbit I just want to touch on real quick. The NFL, they got rid of the Pro Bowl in favor of events in flag football. May I just say, I'm going to miss the game because what the game meant to me growing up and when it was actually good in
Yep.
the late 2000s and the kind of the mid 2010s. The game has been a wash for probably the last 5 years now. It's just
Yep.
been kind of like a celebration. I mean, I like what they're doing. Last year they basically did a flag football with pads on. So I like this now. I wanted to see it go towards like an NBA All Star Weekend type deal, like what there seems like they're going to do. I enjoy the events. I hope that this works out better. Definitely going to keep the players a lot more safe, and I hope to see a lot more players interested in participating in it now. So I mean, just quick thoughts on that, Logan. You think about the NFL going that route?
Well, I mean, like you said, the last 5 years it was just two hand touch. I mean, we could do that in the street right now, and I mean, I always loved watching the Pro Bowl, especially when there's Saints players there. So I mean, them doing flag football at this point, they might as well. because no one was actually hitting. Someone will throw a pass and run it for like 80 yards, and no one's touching them. I'm fine with it. I don't really have that much strong feelings about it anymore. I used to, but it's a new age. Sean Taylor isn't coming around the corner laying a punter out or anything anymore. So I'm fine with it as long as they just keep the Pro Bowl in a sense as where it's a celebration about the players who actually make it, which they are doing. So with that being said, I think it's time to move on to our last topic, Calvin. Today was and is Pelicans Media Day, and we see the man, the myth, the legendary as Calvin's background today. And if everybody saw his press conference and him walk into his press conference,
It's
oh,
over for the
oh
league.
my God, Calvin. We're going to touch briefly on the Pelicans before we wrap it up. I want to just say this. I'm just going to say this, and then I'm going to let Calvin have the mic. CJ McCollum, Herb Jones, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, Jonas Valanciunas. That starting five is top five in the league. And let me just tell you this, Lakers fans who are listening. I love LeBron, but you guys are not going to be better than us. We are not afraid of Patrick Beverly. We are not afraid of Dennis Schroeder. We are not afraid of street clothes. The only person that we can be afraid of is LeBron. But let me just say this. We're coming. And like Coach O said, I'm quoting Coach O, we're coming. And we're not backing down. We're about to take flight, Calvin. And let me just say this. I'll see you guys at the Victory Parade on St. Charles very soon. Take it away, Calvin.
Look, I'm gonna tell you right now, everybody, the league is over with. I seen the picture. I've been waiting all morning. Zion is skinny, everybody. Zion looks like he's about 250, 245. And I'm telling you right now, that's about Duke Zion right there, boy. We getting Duke Zion. He was putting up 27 and a half, built like Shaq at 6'6". Oh God, and now he's Slim Jim. Oh man, he's gonna be high flying. Zion himself said he runs faster, he jumps higher, he feels better than he ever has. I mean, I don't know what to tell y'all. We might even get high schools on here. He's jumping out the gym stupid high. Good God, I hope them Zion twos don't catch a blowout like the PGs he used to wear in college because this man's going to be explosive. Pause. But Brand Ingram looks like an absolute hermit because he's been in the goddamn gym 24/7 since the season ended. He's going to probably average 25, 26, 27. Jonas Valanciunas looks like a mob boss. I don't know what to tell y'all. Y'all better run from that man. To the Lakers fans, to the Celtics fans, the Celtics, I'm sorry that your coach got suspended for having sex. I
Me
can't do
too.
anything about that. But you did to Neil Long, man. I mean, I can't help you on that, bro. That's Neil Long. You don't do that to Neil Long. You're gonna find out real quick. Neil Long got 100% approval rating in the United States of America. You don't do that to her. You don't do that to her. Holly Berry, none of that. They're untouchable. Lakers, yeah, you're sitting here wondering if Russell Westbrook is gonna start for your team. I ain't worried about y'all not one bit. If y'all see here talking about Russell Westbrook might be going to the bench. Dennis Schroeder came back on a $2 million deal. Congratulations, Bobby Schmurder got a new deal. Proud of him. Now, look, I've been getting flack for it all the time in the locker room because I'm one of the only Pelicans fans in that mug. But I'll tell you what, like Logan said, I don't know if there's a lot of teams out there that's beating a lineup of Herb, Zion, CJ, Bi, and Jonas. I mean that's a terrifying squad to go against, especially now when you have Zion, who's probably 250 at this point. Uh, League watch out. Uh, please, because Pelicans are here. We are here. We kick down the door. We here. We here. I think I
we we are here. We are here.
got that straight from Game 4 last year. Come on now. We gotta fight. We gonna fight.
For to the Pelicans fans listening, there is an open practice this Saturday in the Smoothie King Center that is free. All you gotta do is basically pay for parking. Everyone should and go and attend that. But we are at the end, Calvin. I want to wrap it up by just addressing some things because there's been a lot of stuff and a lot of people attacking me on social media, and I knew it was coming because I chose this field a long time ago. I mean, I chose it probably when I met Bobby Abear in 2006, 2007, and I knew what I was. I didn't really know what I was getting myself into at first until I got to college and I started getting a little bit of a following. And then I started putting out my takes and whatnot. And then I started getting a lot of, horrible, ugly, and even threatening messages or even mentions on social media when it refers to a certain player that plays for the Saints or just in general. Not even just about Jameis, but just in general. I catch a lot of, we'll just say there's a lot of people out there on social media that are trying to bully me in a way. Let me just say this, and I'm not coming off trying to come off as cocky or anything like that. I'm just making a statement. No one is going to bully me into believing in something that I don't. No one's going to bully me into saying anything that I don't want to, because if I don't say something, then that means I don't believe in it. So for all the social media bullies out there, I'm just going to just say maybe it's time to give up and pick a new hobby, because I will not be bullied into believing what you say or what anyone says unless I actually do believe it. So, because I do consider myself a good person, and I'm sure Calvin can vouch. I don't bother nobody. I basically stick to myself or even to my little small circle. So, I just want to say to the social media bullies and keyboard warriors that I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to continue to give my takes and say what I believe in. And that's that. I won't be bullied. And like I said, that's that. So, Calvin, do you have any other comments before we go?
Um, Jameis can still win MVP. I know
No.
remember, I think it was the last podcast. I said if we lose to the Panthers and maybe if we lose to the Vikings, you might need to start sounding the alarms. I think we might need to start sounding the alarms right now
Mm-hmm.
for my Saints. But hey, I got my Pelicans. I got Skinny Zion. So as far as I'm concerned, Saints can go ahead and lose every game of the season. That would suck. But hey, Skinny Zion gonna be he gonna hold me. He gonna hold me down from October to June, July, whenever the finals is, because that's where we going, y'all. So that's all I got.
Well, and I'm going to end this with a hot take. The franchise win record for the Pelicans slash Hornets was 56 in 2008, or the 2007 2008 season. Here's my hot take before we go. I think the Pelicans can break that franchise win record this year, and I think it's going to be 57 wins. So, with that being said, I am Logan Graffia. He is the fantastic Calvin Rons. We shall see you next time.